How can you create content consistently without burning out? One of the biggest problems people have when it comes to content creation is it being so enthusiastic to begin with, committing to creating lots and lots of content, and inevitably what happens is they just can't keep up with the pace and it fizzles out and they feel like a big failure. The problem usually isn't the content itself. The problem lies in the planning that goes in advance. So if you don't do planning in advance, or if you don't do the right type of planning in advance of when it comes to creating your content, then it's really, really difficult to keep up with that consistent schedule. So a good plan should help you spread your content really far and wide into different formats. It should help you come into content creation with a very clear mind of what you need to do, and it should help you create the best content possible. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we plan our content for our clients and for our agency, and so you can do the exact same for your business as well. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is think about your ideas for your content. Now, I have a really simple process to come up with ideas for content, and it's essentially having a bank, a document open at all times. And when I think of a content idea, I just note it down. So you'll have ideas throughout the day. Maybe a customer asks you a question, maybe you see something interesting on social media, maybe you read something, and all of a sudden you'll have an idea for content. Now, what usually happens is we go, oh, that's a good idea, I must remember that, and then we forget it. Or we can try and sit down immediately and try and create this piece of content straight away. What I want you to do instead is just create a bank of ideas. Just quickly note down maybe a title or the idea very, very quickly on a document, so you've got a bank of really good content ideas you can always refer to. And this is something that I do pretty much every day when it comes to creating content. I always have a bank of ideas to go off. Sometimes I'll look at it and I'll think that's actually not a great idea, and sometimes I'll be like, that's great. But it's the fact that you've always got, a bank of ideas there that you're ready to go and you can actually go with when it comes to planning your content. Number two is planning the hooks in advance. Now, by hook, what I mean is the opening statement of your content. This could be on video, it could be the video hook, it could be if you're posting on LinkedIn, that first opening statement, whatever it might be, just plan what this is in advance. Have different variations and play around with different variations of it. Just make sure that you have a really good idea when it comes to going into your content creation time of what that hook might be and what it might look like. And when you do this in advance, it helps you shape kind of the rest of the content itself. So when you kind of know the hook, you know kind of what angle you're coming at the content with. So having this done in advance is really advantageous rather than trying to think it up at the time. It'd be really difficult for me to come to a video shoot and think, what is the hook for this? And try and figure out kind of creatively what the hook is for my content. When if I've already done that in advance, it makes it so much easier. So the third thing I'm going to want you to do is think about the prompts. Now, if you're creating video content, what I don't recommend you do at the planning stage, and even at any stage really, is script the whole thing, because then it becomes quite unnatural, becomes a bit inauthentic. Generally, we won't write exactly how we speak, so when it comes to scripting it, it's very difficult to kind of say it exactly how you would naturally. So I just want you to think about the prompts, and these can just be bullet points about what your content is about, and these really just give you an idea of, what path do I need to follow with this content. So if it's a blog post, for example, at least you've got those bullet points there for you to follow. It stops you really going off track and, going down a different path or making everything much bigger than it needs to be. It really keeps you on topic when you have those prompts done in advance. So make sure you have the idea, the hook, and the prompts already done for every piece of content. And if you do this in your content planning time, it's really, really simple, it's really quick and easy, but it just saves you so much headspace later on when it comes to actually creating that content. The next thing I want you to do is have a look at all your ideas and prompts and think about how you could expand those into different formats. So for example, on this video, I might think to myself, right, well, there's kind of several points to this video and it would make great short form content. So I can note down in the planning stages how I could actually cut this up a little bit and create short form video out of this long form video. So I'm already doing that work in advance. It makes it much easier when it comes later on to kind of splitting that up and repurposing it. I know exactly how to do that. So when you do that at the planning stage, it really helps when it comes to reformatting things later on or putting things on different platforms or repurposing it in different ways. And that can help you spread your content even further. And another thing you can do as well is think about how this could be made into, say, graphics. So you can think, okay, well, this video has kind of 7 points. Could that be made into a cheat sheet, for example? Could it be made into an infographic? All those kind of things. When you start looking at your content, not just as one thing, but how it can be applied to several different platforms or several different formats, you really start to take just one idea and then spread it far and wide over many, many different places. And that means you're getting the most out of your idea as possible. When you focus on a really, really good idea and a really good hook for it, the rest becomes really easy, because then all you're doing is you're spreading that as far as wide as possible. It makes it really difficult every time you create content. You have to think, right, I have to think of a really good idea now and a really good hook and a really good prompt. Imagine if you just did that once and spread it as far and wide as possible. That's much, much easier when it comes to content creation, and it gets a lot more of your content out there. One of the final things you're going to want to do before you even get to the content creation stage is to put all these ideas into a content calendar. Have a look at how this looks across, say, a month or 2 months or 3 months, and figure out how it relates to your business goals. So if you're coming up to perhaps a campaign, a sales campaign, what kind of ideas have you come up with that really fit in with that campaign? How could you use the ideas that you've come up with to help sell a product or service that you particularly want to push at that particular time? Really figure out when the best place is for all your content. And once you have all that, once you have all your ideas, your hooks, your prompts, how you're going to repurpose it, and your content calendar, then the actual content creation becomes very, very easy, because all you're doing is following a plan that you've already given yourself in advance and sticking to it. And when it comes to actually creating it, it makes it super simple. It's really easy to stick to, and you can actually start to see the real benefits from it. Once you start seeing particularly a content calendar and you can see everything in advance and how much content that you can create, it's really motivating. So creating that content calendar right at the end with all your ideas in is really, really helpful. Remember, the reason people burn out is not because the content isn't good, it's because they're constantly coming into content creation thinking, what do I write? What do I do a video on? What's my idea? How do I sort of talk about this? You know, they're just thinking too much rather than actual doing. So if you do the thinking in advance, if you just prepare yourself well, then it makes content creation so much easier, and you'll be much more consistent when it comes to it. And one final thing to remember is batch your content. So I'm not sat here every single week, even though a video goes out every week, I'm not sat here every week filming. I'm not sat here every week thinking, what am I going to talk about this week? I have one day of planning my content and one day of filming it. And this makes things 10 times easier, because ultimately it's just 2 days of the month that I have to dedicate to doing that. Whereas if I was going to do this weekly, it would probably take up like 1 day of every single week for me actually doing that, of me sitting, thinking about what my idea is this week, and then actually filming it. It would take me a long time. When you're actually planning and spending that time, you're just in the zone and you're doing it, and you get a lot done. And then when you're creating, you're in the same thing. You know, you're sat there, you're in front of a camera, or you're writing your blog post, or you're writing your social media post. That's all you're doing, and you'll get a lot more done if you batch create content in advance. We also do this for our clients as well. That's exactly how we work with our clients. They're extremely busy people, so we have to plan very, very heavily in advance what their content is going to be, and so they know when it comes to the day that we're recording with them, that they know exactly what they're saying, what they're doing, and we can get through a lot of content really, really fast. Sometimes we can get 1 to 2 months worth of content just from one video shoot because of the amount of planning that we've done in advance of that shoot. And if you want to learn how to get more leads and sales from your content, then do join me on my next webinar, which is all about how to use video to get leads for your business. You can find that just in the description below. And if you liked this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you'll be notified the next time we launch a video.